by
Mm.
doing SEO.
Yeah, I got to say you made the right call with SEO. Focusing on SEO, definitely. Local SEO. I find this very interesting because nowadays there's a big push and a lot of people talk about international SEO. So it's very refreshing to see someone who focuses on local SEO. What would you say interests you about local SEO?
Yeah, part of it is the impact on business owners and being able to have that impact. Part of that is kind of like the vanity of it because with local SEO, it is a business where there is like branding, there's commercials, there's billboards. It's something that people that's tangible that you can
Yeah.
see in the real world. It doesn't just exist online.
Mm.
And that part of it is very interesting to me as well. Is like being able to attach myself to those names like, oh, I worked on something for a company that had impact on this thing that's tangible in my real life that I can see in
Yeah.
person. To me that's really interesting. um about it in a like more like selfish way. It's like I like that part of it, but I do like the fact that I can impact an actual business that people that I know people interact with every day and say, "Hey, oh, I worked on your bank. I did SEO
Yeah.
for your bank
Yeah. Yeah.
or your energy company or oh, I know that like driving by and say, "Oh, this is a competitor for one of my clients." I can see their actual physical business in person. I can drive by
Yeah.
it and see it. Um all of that part of it is really interesting to me. And I also like the added complexity that local SEO has. I think a lot of times it's easy to consider local SEO just Google Maps stuff. But really, local SEO is all of it. It's Google Maps and it's technical SEO and it's the content and it's
Yeah.
all of it because
Yeah.
all of it is still SEO that has to be done for that local business to rank. So
Mm.
it's not like I only do stuff related to Google Maps and reviews. I still do information architecture audits. I do still do technical audits. I still do internal linking, link building, all of those things. I just have to worry about Google Maps also, and also
Mm.
consider geography as a factor. So the
Mm.
way people search is different based on where they live. Just like using the word attorney versus lawyer, that's different based on where you live in the US.
Yeah.
Um, uh, just different types of services are different too. Like a potential client I've been talking to, they're a concierge doctor. So it's a doctor that has very limited clients and you pay an annual fee to have access to that doctor whenever you want. But in some regions of the US, that's normal. In other areas, that is abnormal. No one knows what you're talking about when you're saying it. But they're in both markets. So they have to figure
Mm.
out what content they need based on who they're trying to reach. Is it someone who already knows what they do and they know it very well, or is it someone who has no idea what they're talking about and they're just looking into it for the first time? So
Mm.
all of these different nuances and things just makes local SEO extremely interesting to me because of all the added complexity of the geographies that come into play and culture and how people talk and how people look for businesses in if
Yeah.
different areas. All of that on top of Google Maps and proximity and all and all the other ranking factors for local SEO that's specific to local too. It just
Mm.
makes it very um it ties it back to the real world, I think, extremely easily when you have to
Yeah.
consider who people are and how they think
Mm.
about local businesses on top of all of the SEO stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you used the keyword that I was going to use as well, real. It must feel so real, like doing something online and also seeing it within the real world as well, as opposed to, let's say, international SEO. And I also presume that results are you receive results or you can show results quicker with local SEO, right?
That's a it depends thing because there's so many like like in some ways you can. I've had clients where there were really big companies and you would think they would have a hard time showing any growth, but they had no Google business profiles.
Mm.
So putting up 50 Google business profiles where they already could have had them made a
Mm.
huge difference because
Mm.
they went from having no local visibility to having a ton. And they were like already a well-known established company, so that was enough to blow them up.
Yeah.
But for another business, if they already have those listings and they're just not performing well, it could take a little bit more time because it could
Yeah.
be like high competition. It could be a lot of different things impacting it. But when you kind of tap into whatever is going on and you start to understand your competition on a local level, understand your client's site and their Google business profile and the people in that area better, the things that you can do can be pretty insane. Like I have a client, I was doing their monthly report for January, and their organic clicks are up 70% month over month and for non-branded
Wow.
keywords. And if I told you what I did for them, you would be like, "Oh yeah, that's just what makes sense to do." I didn't do anything crazy, but those are the results that we were able to get. And that's like what I like about local SEO is when you see those big numbers pop up. Doesn't always happen, and sometimes it just happens slowly. Depending on all of the different factors that come into play, but it is rewarding to see that growth when it happens, like when things start to finally click and things start to finally make sense. And one of the things that's really interesting about SEO in general is just the fact that you can do all the right things and not see the results immediately.
Yeah.
And it makes you question yourself and what you're doing, and if you knew what you were doing, or if that was the right choice, or if everyone is full of it and no one knows what they're talking about. And then 3 months later, it works, and you're like, "Oh, there I am." Like it finally worked.
Yeah.
It's just interesting and fun how that happens in local, because it's not just that for the organic regular search results section, but you also have that for the map section that has its own ranking factors that overlap with organic, but they're not always the same. There are things that you consider for local that you would not necessarily consider for organic, like reviews, because if you don't have a Google business profile, you don't have reviews. So that's not a factor until you have a Google business profile. So there's things that just make it a little bit more complex. And then you have to think about your competitors too, like, I have more reviews than them. I had a higher rating than them. Organically, we're doing about the same. Why are they ranking better than me in Google Maps? And then, so that becomes an entire new thing to fixate on outside of everything else going on with that client. Is like, what things are impacting performance that I may not be aware of, and how do I account for those? So yeah, it's a little bit of added complexity, but I think, I don't know. I don't know if you get results quicker with local SEO, just because I've done primarily local SEO. I don't know any other way. So, so it may be a little bit quicker. I don't know. But I think you have more opportunities to get there quicker with local SEO, because proximity being a factor, being able to create content for nearby cities that aren't your main city if you don't rank there already. So there's just more that you can do strategically, I think, with local SEO that it could get you results. It may not be for the exact keyword or exact location you want to focus on at first, but you will get there eventually, and you can start making those stepping stones and building those relationships with Google, I think, quicker than if you're trying to rank nationally or internationally. There's so many different, it's more daunting, I think, the national, international. With local SEO, you can see all the little steps a little bit clearer. Because there's so much that you can do quickly and with small budgets, and that can have a lot of impact without having to think about it at a grand scale.
Yeah.